Hello, Merlins and Sermons. I am NicBroInc, and with my dragon fists of power, I have an important message for you.
So, a while ago, in Warframe, we were given a choice. The choice was to side with either the Grineer or the Corpus, and this was their big push to develop a storyline for the next update. I believe it should be update 11, it looks like it. It's also clearly going to be the update for the PlayStation 4. What this choice was a choice that would determine power in the galaxy. The choice was, if I didn't say it before because I'm already brain farting, to either side with the Grineer or side with the Corpus. Now, before I even explain I will explain actually this. You would fight alongside one of these groups in certain instances that are now over. It was throughout the month of October, I believe. I think no, it's November. I don't remember any of it. Maybe a little bit into November. I don't really remember. So what would happen is, if you fought with the Grineer, you would help save Tenno from the Corpus while also sabotaging the Corpus's troops and research centers. While in the meantime, doing that would make the Grineer a more powerful empire. The Grineer Empire would gain more planets, and they would get a bigger hold on the universe. Now, if you side with the Corpus, you would fight the Grineer. You would free planets from the Grineer's empire, but at the same time, the Corpus would enslave some Tenno while you did this, and they would research weapons into Tenno technology. Okay. Now, before I get into which choice I think should have been made, it looked like the developers already had a story in mind, and they were already kind of had chosen one, and they kind of sabotaged one or the other. I chose the Grineer, which I will explain in a second. But I believe it didn't matter what choice you made because the creators already had a story arc planned out, because when you play, or when you did play, the better items that came from like the stuff, like you would get items depending on which instance you would play in a certain amount of times. The items for playing with the Grineer weren't that good. The items playing with the Corpus were much better. So in that sense, I believe the makers had kind of sabotaged everyone's choice from the beginning. It didn't really matter. They already had an idea. They already had something they wanted. They kind of fueled a certain idea. Now, this is why I think you should have chosen the Grineer.
So, to example, a good example would be, I think, this is what it's like to fight the Grineer. Not a problem. This is what it's like to fight the Corpus.
Okay, as you can see, both fighting both sides is possible. One's much easier than the other. I do feel it is that much easier to fight one side than it is the other. You know, you could fight the Corpus if you had the right equipment. Clearly, if I had my dragon gloves on, which I forgot to put on, I would have just punched right through the wall, because my dragon gloves are on level 30, they're capped, and they have tons of cards on them. But, I mean, it really is like a big difference between fighting the Grineer and fighting the Corpus. The Grineer are your base enemy. They're easier. They're made to be easier on purpose. You know, if it was a difference between fighting the Grineer, fighting the Corpus, and fighting the Infested, there's still the Grineer is still the easier. But there's at least, if we had a choice between the Infested and the Corpus, at least those two I feel are pretty evenly matched. They're both as evenly difficult. Grineer, they're not really difficult at all. No one goes into a Grineer match and they're like, shit, we're fighting Grineer. You know, Grineer, they're pushovers. So people were like arguing and stuff like, yeah, well, you know, while you were fighting with the Grineer, more empires would be taken over. Well, yeah, more empires being taken over, but you know what? In any day of the Tenno, the quote, guardians of the galaxy, unquote, saviors, peace protectors, all that stuff, peacekeepers, protectors, my bust. Um, Grenier are pushover. They could just, a planet gets taken over, they could probably take it back in like a half a day, because Grenier are idiots. The Corpus is different, and it's worse off now that they're getting Tenno tech and making stuff from our enslaved people. So that's how I felt. The issue's dead already. There's already a clear result, and this is that. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you, everyone, for powering the other powerhouse, the big bad Corpus. Well, I don't. It's the difference between crushing a can and punching a wall, and you're making the wall even sturdier. Now this brick wall has 2 extra yards of concrete behind it, and I'll never be able to punch it with my dragon gloves. It's you just made the now there is, from what it looks like, now the Corpus look a little tougher than the Infested, which sucks. And this is what I mean right here. This. You're not getting away with this. My friends are gonna come back and they're gonna kick your ass.
Yes, of course, we've saved the best for last. Excellent condition, as you can see.
How can I get away with this?
The core components will be diverted to the Zanuka program. Bidding begins at 3 million. Good luck, gentlemen. May our ledgers become ocean, our margins sea centauri. In the name of profit, I commit
Don't
thee
touch me.
to the void. Of course, the Lotus sent the mute peasant to disrupt my business. So please, come closer. Let me introduce my latest line of robotics. Hybridized with Warframe components.
Force. This little fix there. Not only is it now, not only do they have harder technology now, but now it's a horrific sight to listen to and hear. I want to thank everyone for being scumbags.